Good evening. Welcome to Soni Irabor Live. Well, sorry for starting late. For understandable reasons, of course, election day in Osun State today. And I have a very important personality as guest on Soni Irabor Live. And we're going to look at a few things in the past 27 years. When you hear of the name Donald Duke, you will know that he was governor of Cross River State from 1999 to 2007. Yes, of course. I had to do some mathematics there. So I won't waste more time doing too much introduction, just to say that he's the presidential candidate for PRP, which is People's Redemption Party. Excellency, you are welcome. You still look very young. So.
Well, looks and feel are different.
Okay. Well, at least this is the kind of face we like to see. Now, it's been, how do you rate leadership and governance since you left power in 2007?
In what context?
Well, look at the way it is today at presidential level, governorship level. What has the metamorphosis been like, the evolution, if you like?
Well, it's certainly not positive. I don't think we're doing well. I think the standards are dropping and dropping really fast. Governorship or leadership has now become self-perpetuating rather than centered around public good. So I'm a bit concerned about that what we're doing is not sustainable.
It's obvious that the opposition hasn't had a firm root or foot in trying to dissuade the current or the leadership, as it were, because it's been 27 years, to change their style of leadership.
Well, there's really no opposition and there's really no democracy. The opposition is terribly weakened and self-centered. The democracy is also endangered. The results you get from the polls often don't reflect the views of the people. So there's a disenchantment in the system, both by the contestants and the public. Most people don't go to vote because they believe their votes don't count. And in a world where technology is so advanced, it's a shame that we couldn't devise a system that makes your vote matter. On the governance level, because your vote doesn't matter, there's a tendency to take people for a ride, disregard what is required by the people. I've always maintained, Soni, that the cardinal principle of governance is to ensure the optimal productivity of her citizens within a safe and orderly environment. If that is your mission statement as being in government and what government is supposed to be doing, then you ask yourself, how many things are we doing to ensure that the productivity of people is enhanced? It's a far cry. Now, I'm sure in the course of our discussion, I'll elucidate more on that.
From what I've heard you say now, looks like democracy has not really done anything. Government of the people doesn't seem to be of the people, for the people, it doesn't seem to be for the people, and by the people. So where has everything gone wrong, looking at it from the way we've described it?
You know, there are people today, Soni, that will tell you that they were better off under the military. And his governance was not that expensive.
Does that include your government too?
I'm speaking broadly now.
Okay, all right.
Okay. If we focus on the well-being of the people, what we term democracy dividends, how much has been delivered? We're still having the same problems we had 27 years ago. It's getting worse. The number of children out of school has not improved, it's deteriorating. The healthcare system is not improving, it's deteriorating. Infrastructure deficiency over the last 27 years. Are we better off? The question is, are we better off today than we were in 1999?
Good question.
Hardly so, because look, the problems that existed before 99, electrification, unemployment, those things are still there. And I don't see a structured approach towards dealing with these issues. This is my frustration. Because there's no problem we cannot resolve. We're not a unique country. There are peer reviews you can do. How did you solve this? How did you do this? Are we thinking through our problems? How do you want to grow your economy when interest rate is in the upper 30s? Who's going to borrow money to grow the economy? You need access to capital to do that. You're an energy-blessed country. You have all known forms of energy exist in Nigeria, from the crudest, which is human labor, aka slavery, as was in the past, to hydrocarbons, to solar, to hydro, to uranium, now lithium. We have all those things. Why are we still energy poor? Because it's not just the political will is not there, but even beyond the political will, we're not thinking through this. Suddenly we flared 2.5. I hear it's a bit lower now. That's because they're injecting the gas into the ground. We easily flared 2 billion cubic feet of gas a day. That's equivalent to 20 million liters of diesel, of diesel. If you had a turbine to power all of Africa, it will not consume 20 million liters of diesel daily. So it's akin to, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Why do we, and they'll tell you, when I hear excuses like, it's cheaper in America, or we're more expensive, we're cheaper than it is in America and all that. Every country has its own endowments. You've got to use what you've got to get what you want. We are an energy-blessed country. The people should feel their blessings. They should, look, I don't believe there's any subsidy in fuel. From a barrel of crude oil, there are about 7 byproducts. If you, the two consequential ones to us are diesel and petrol, PMS and diesel, AGO, and kerosene, aviation fuel, all those things. If you sell it at commercial rates, okay, work it out, you can almost sell petrol today at 200 naira a liter, not the 1,000 plus. So that thing about subsidy, I think, is the biggest scam that has been perpetrated, maybe globally. But even beyond that, suddenly we're flaring gas, 2 billion cubic feet of gas daily. That's insane. And you're energy deficient. And you want to pass gas, you have a West African gas pipeline, but you don't have any self-sufficiency in gas in your country. There's something wrong somewhere. We're not thinking.
Yeah. Let me interject there a bit. Because we are a democratic country, a republic, all right? So where are the National Assembly? Where's the judiciary? Where's the executive? So there are 3 tiers of government that ought to provide enough checks and balances to make these things work. Why are they not so?
Well, the answer is in your question. Are we really a democratic country? Have you gone to the National Assembly and seen the characters that occupy our national and state houses of assembly? The first question is, how did these folks get there? It's a failure of the elites more than anything else. We're elites, we're enlightened people, but we abdicated our leadership to those whom we should be leading. So that's what you have. So politics is no longer a vocation, it's an occupation for those people, and you can't get them out. And you don't have a system of governance that ensures that your vote counts. So we don't have a democracy. We are pretending democracy. We're not a democracy. You and I know that. And the checks and balances from the National Assembly, there's no check. There's no balance. We changed the national anthem in a week. Nobody was asking questions. They sing, on your mandate we shall stand, abdicating your responsibilities. We had a chief justice of this country singing, on your mandate we shall stand. There's no judiciary. We all know it, but are we prepared to deal with it? Elucidating the challenges and problems of Nigeria is an old song. Most people, even kids, will tell you all the problems. But what are we doing? What are we preferring to solve or put an end to the challenges that are before us? Nigeria is exceedingly blessed. It's sad. It's painful that we are where we are. You ask yourself, 30 years down the line, our children, how do they survive in this environment? Even if you believe in elite self-centeredness, you want to provide for those who live around you, certainly not to where your status is, but to a status where they're no longer a threat to you. There was a time when I used to be in the National Economic Intelligence Committee, and Professor Aluko used to say, proverbially that a time is coming in this country when the rich won't sleep because the poor have not eaten.
Scary,
I think the time
very
is coming.
prophetic. Now, today, Saturday, Osun State just had elections. They are counting as we speak. You may, as a presidential candidate, may have had a look-see into what's going on there from the different television networks and the reports and all of that. What is your take? How would you want to assess the situation so far?
Well, I have a stake in that. My party is contesting, one of the contestants. What I'm hearing, I've not really paid attention to it till now, but what I'm hearing is not very encouraging. But every election cycle we go through in this country comes out with the same thing. You know, if you have an election in a state that is of this party, you're almost certain that if that party is a party in power at the national level, you will return, or you will get rid of whoever is there. But honestly, I don't want to be a biased umpire. I've not paid attention enough to what is going on the field. But I get calls here and there saying it's not looking good, this and that. You know, I don't want to make a judgment call on it as of yet.
Right, but yes, understandable that you don't want to make a judgment call. I don't know how you said that, but then let's look at the whole essence of a Nigerian nation that's supposed to see election as a way forward. The youths are there. The adults are there. The middle class, I don't know if they still exist, they are there as well. The electorate is supposed to play a role, and one would expect that, to cut my long story short, one would expect that the country should be able to elect a leader of its choice. So how do you now look at INEC vis-a-vis the question I've asked?
Well, INEC has failed, monumentally failed. There's no gainsaying about it. You know, I had cause to write to Professor Yakubu, the immediate past chairman, in 2018, when on the eve, it wasn't the eve, 4 hours to voting, the elections were postponed. I don't know if you recall that instance.
Yeah.
It was 2018, I think. 4 hours to voting, it was postponed.
2019.
Prior to that, the chairman of INEC had said that he was ready for the elections. Everything, the papers, the material, everything were in each state capital and all that. His excuse for postponing the elections 4 hours to voting was that there was Hamatan, the roads are bad, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't resign. Today he's an ambassador. Where in the world does that happen? Even if the last elections were free and fair, immediately after taking an appointment, a political appointment, in itself shows political bias. You know, so, you know, in law we say justice must not only be done, but seen to be done. I don't know how justifiable that appointment which you received. But how do you explain postponing an election 4 hours to voting? You know that all the polling agents have been giving the allowances running into billions. There are over 180,000 polling units across the country. You're going to probably have 2 polling agents per booth, right? So you're talking easily about 300,000 people involved. You're not going to give each one of them less than 10,000 naira, you know? So you postpone it 4 hours to, only the party in power has the muscle to raise that sort of money for a rerun. Now, this is not unique to APC. Well, it was APC, it was under the APC government, and they appointed the chairman. PDP did it, but theirs was better. I think it was a week to the elections, they postponed it. For the same flimsy excuse of Hamatan. Hamatan occurs every year at the same time. Bad roads have been with us, but you, the chairman, had said specifically that the ballot papers, the election material had all been fully distributed and were at the various state capitals. So it's so nonsensical. In fact, it's so insulting on the integrity of Nigerians to make that sort of statement. The same person is now an ambassador to somewhere. You know, it's hard to understand it.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and take some messages. After that, we'll now go deeper into the discussion that we're having on Soni Irabor Live with our guest, Mr. Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State and presidential candidate of PRP. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So, a lot of things have been said, and His Excellency, former governor of Cross River State and presidential candidate for PRP, Mr. Donald Duke, is with us. And we're glad to have you, sir. Well, with the catalogue of observations you've made tonight, where do you see us? Why is there no opposition strong enough to, create a scenario that should make the current leadership think that Nigeria needs to be strong enough to go ahead, move forward?
Well, democracy doesn't work with a splintered opposition. If the objective is commonalized to be the entrusted of a new leadership, we all can't go divided. Let me tell you a short story. There was in Rhodesia then, Zimbabwe today, Robert Mugabe, and there was Joshua Nkomo. They were both freedom fighters. One was in ZANU, the other one was in ZAPU, right? They were fighting for the same cause, but they were divided. So Ian Smith, who was Prime Minister of Rhodesia, took advantage of that. They would both come independently to Nigeria to get funds for their freedom fighting. Then the head of state then, General Obasanjo, did something which was brilliant. He invited both of them independently, one not knowing the other was going to be there. When they got to Dodan Barracks, as it were, got them seated. They never saw themselves. They hadn't seen themselves in over 15 years, but got them to come into a room through different entrances. And he placed a pistol on the table and said, whichever of you is alive when I come back in 5 minutes, that's the person I will deal with. That's how Patriotic Front was formed. The opposition will have to come together. They're so splintered. You have ADC, you have PRP, you have NDC, you have PDP, you have all sorts of acronyms, FBI, CIA, all that. This is not sustainable. The reason why democracy works in countries, in more advanced countries, is that there's a given opposition. If it's the United States, you have the Democrats or the Republicans. If it's in Britain, you have the Labour or the Conservatives. If it's in Germany, you seldom have a potpourri of opposition candidates coming together and you think you'll defeat the incumbent. Certainly not a Bola Tinubu. If you think, look, this is a guy who has said, without equivocation, that you grab it, take it, steal it, whatever do, then you tell you go to court. So we've got to get serious. It's elite selfishness, ego is at play here. I must be president. It must be either me or nobody else. I mean, some have said if I don't get it, let Bola keep on. Then how can you justify being part of the opposition?
What do you consider a better way forward? Some of the story you've told has given us an insight and maybe a direction, so to speak, but can you articulate it further and better for us? What should Nigerians do?
I don't know what I'm going to say, Soni. The opposition presidential candidates have to come together and decide on one way or the other, we're going to back you, right? I'm not saying National Assembly, let them contest. But for the presidency, we must come together. If, assuming we get to win, then we can talk of a merger of all the parties together. So we have strength. The presidency has some strength. But right now, divided we stand, divided we shall fall.
United we stand, divided we fall.
No, well, I'm talking of the opposition now. Divided we stand, divided we shall fall.
Okay. That's an interesting. It's full of wisdom what you just said.
It's just the corollary of the other one. United we stand, all that. But it's divided. It can't work. I don't see an opposition victory. I don't see the opposition succeeding as long as the mindset remains the same.
About a week ago, a group of people, concerned Nigerians, suggested close to what you're saying now, that the opposition...
The group called the G100.
All right, that's right.
Advocated for it.
Yes.
They've advocated for it.
Yes.
And I hope it works. They're having a meeting soon, and I shall attend. I want to be the voice of reason to say, hey, guys, look, Soni, we just finished the World Cup. In a stadium, there could be 100,000 people in that stadium, right? Each one is a football buff. Each one is a soccer expert. They know more than the coaches, more than the players and all that. But only 25 people on that pitch will decide that match.
True.
The 22 players, the linesmen, and the referee. So you've got to be in the field. All this running around, I want to be the voice of reason. Look, guys, we're not going to get this. If this is our common objective, who is better suited, right, to accomplish this, bearing in mind one or two factors. One, political order, and two, those whom, because we have a divide, North, South, Christian, Muslim, who amongst us generally will be more acceptable. We've got to look at that dispassionately. Otherwise, we'll run back to the Supreme Court, and before you go there, you know the verdict.
Well, Nigeria was once praised for its strength in diversity. It was done in such a way that, it was believed that whoever won the opposition or whoever were in the opposition would rally around to ensure that the country moved forward. In spite of the fact that we have multi-ethnicity, multi-religion, and all of that. If we look at what it takes, how would you see, or rather, what will it take to have a free and fair election in Nigeria?
It will take political will, honesty, right? And a leadership that is there to serve Nigeria into posterity. What do I mean by this? We all come up with, whether you're governor, you're local government chairman, you're president, it's me, myself, and I, right? So the institution is not allowed to grow and thrive, as it were. The system in the world today, the technology that is available, can ensure that each vote, right? You can design a system that each vote is not only counted, but verified. The technology exists. People are going to space and all that, and we're still doing this manual thing that is manipulable. There's no excuse for it. The sincerity of purpose is not there. I mean, I told you about Professor Yakubu. He sounds very smooth. He talks like a saint. But this guy postponed elections 4 hours to vote in, and did not have the conscience to resign. How does that work? Today, he's been appointed by the same government as an ambassador. Do we insinuate, allege that he's being paid for a role he played? That's some of the questions. We have today, the technology is too advanced, but we send money around to our villages, to our relatives in villages, and they get the money. But when it comes to voting, it's not safe anymore. What are we talking about?
You've been seen as a man who's been a very low-profile man over the years. In fact, in 20 years, you left power in 2007.
It's almost 20 years next year.
Yes, almost, yes, exactly. Now, why are you running for president now when you have not said much against anything until such occasions which are few and far between?
It's the urgency of now, right? And I don't see what we're doing sustainable for another 4 years. And so, like I said to you earlier, I want to be the voice of reason. If we all get to a point where we all have to sit together around the table, if you're going to change the pathway that we are on today, then there must be a voice of reason, because the egos at play are too large. Someone has to tell these guys that, listen, are you stupid? Do you think you can defeat the incumbent with all its power and its known application for power being divided? So, it's either me or let the system continue. So I want to be that voice of reason, because the way we're going, no. It won't work.
In articulating your voice of reason, what would you do differently? Apart from what you've said so far, I want you to clearly articulate what you think you can do differently. Because
talk sense into the guys. Tell them, look, what is our objective? You, Mr. A, what is your objective? Mr. B, what is your objective? Mr. C, what is your objective? And D, and so forth. And if the objective, the commonality in the objective is good governance, and we've seen that we're not having good governance now, who amongst us is best suited to achieve that? That's all. And let's back that person. We all can't be president. Of course, I have dreams of what it would be like for me to be president, but only one person is going to get there. So I'm better off being part of a team than not being there at all. I'm tired of griping from outside. I don't want to be the spectator on the stand watching the field and saying, oh, this guy should have played this way or played that way. I want to be in the field and say, let's play together.
In 2023, there was something that was very dramatic. The youths came out en masse, large number. They gave themselves a name. Today, we have also seen that youth say they want to vote, but we don't know how the outcome of the vote will be. What role do you think the youth can play if you were made the leader?
Well, a lot of them have been disillusioned already, right? Because they don't believe, you said a large number came out in 23. Their votes, a lot of them feel did not matter, So we've got to rekindle that interest. And now, when you have a plethora of presidential candidates, I don't think you're going to rekindle that interest. But if it was one person against the other, one-on-one, you see them coming out in their numbers. But now you have about 5, 6, or 8 or 7, I don't know how many we are, right? Everyone believes that he's the best of the lot. It won't work. And the youth you just get disenchanted. Nothing is going to change. It's business as usual. But when it becomes one-on-one, then you excite the public, excite the voters.
Okay, so as we conclude this rather short interview, what future do you see democracy giving or Nigeria having in terms of democracy? Do you see
there are two
future?
things. There's a future if we want it, and there's business as usual if we also want it. It's in our hands. We can determine if we want to go forward or remain as we were. And if we remain as we are, you're not going forward, you're regressing. So, and this election, 2027, is pivotal because what we are doing is not sustainable for another 4 years. We're literally a bankrupt nation. When you spend about 90%, or let me even be generous, 70% of your income servicing debts, and you're still not living in an austere lifestyle, you still believe that we're in the boom years, right? You're going into projects, no matter how laudable they may be, they are not appropriate at this time, right? I don't want being judgmental to say this is right or this is wrong. But of course, Soni, when you're broke, the first thing you do, or when your cash flow is low, the first thing you do, you now look at the things that are priority to you. So there's so many things I don't see as priority being given priority. And that's not going to help us out. This is a nation, we have the largest number of out-of-school children. That's an embarrassment. We hardly have any health care. The infrastructure is deplorable. There's gangsterism, there's terrorism, banditry. We call all these fancy names and all that. This is inimical to the growth of the country. We can barely feed ourselves now because farmers can't go to the farm. We've got to change all that. We are too endowed, as it were, to be prostrate. But it's self-inflicted. We've got to change it. This is not sustainable. We have become a global embarrassment. How can you say Nigeria, that was in the forefront of education, has the largest number of out-of-school children today in the world, a world that has countries like India? How do you explain that?
God help Nigeria.
At my age, at our age, we're on the way out, okay? My dream as a child was to leave Nigeria or leave my country or my circumstance also better than I met it. And I ask myself, really, have I been able to achieve that? Even as governor, post-government, I look back, look at where the state is, or, I believe we should have advanced much further than we are today. And I'm not being critical of anyone. I'm just saying that we have not attained where I think we ought to attain. The same thing at the national level. If we had gotten it right from independence, I think we should be where Turkey is today. We should be a higher middle income country. Today, we're ascribing to have a GDP of about 2 trillion in 10 years. That's not going to happen. Yeah. You and I know that that's not going to happen. Your population is growing faster than your economy, so it's never going to happen. You'll always persistently be in deficit. We've got to look at the factors that are holding us back. Economically, right, our interest rates are absurd. Central bank will tell you that they're fighting inflation. Inflation is not caused by interest rates in our circumstance. Inflation is caused by the profligacy of government spending unnecessarily, over bloated budgets, over bloated capital expenditure, not investing in the productivity of its people. You know, if you, for instance, you look at a government, a new set of governments will come in 27. They'll buy new cars, they'll buy new computers, they'll buy this and buy that. How many of those things are they buying that has value added by Nigerians? The cars are not assembled in Nigeria. The computers they're buying are not assembled in Nigeria. The telephone or television and all those things. But if those high consumer items, I'm not saying we should start manufacturing them get-go. It's time has passed. Assemble them locally. You'll get people off the streets.
Yes, Your Excellency, thank you so much. I'm being stopped, unfortunately, because of time factor. Bear with us. But
I know
if you don't mind,
the elections. Yes. The elections brought into our time.
I will call you back, please, and I will give you better and more time, I promise you. It's been Soni Irabor live with His Excellency Governor Donald Duke, presidential candidate of PRP, on Soni Irabor live tonight. Good night, everyone.